And then another question came from Nina, which I wanted to surface too, was talking about the levels of depth of sharing vulnerability. We talked about going level 1, 2, and 3. Can you share a little bit more about like how people can get into that mindset and better do it? Because I think when you're first approaching it, it's really hard to get out of the surface level mindset of just like really basic tweets, really basic information. What are the things that have helped you get to that level 3 kind of mindset?
Yeah, it's a great question, by the way. And I think it's vulnerabilities, I think, directly related to courage, in my view. And courage is a muscle. So the first time I was a little bit more vulnerable than normal, I felt scared. And I was like, should I publish or no? Should I take it back? But then I did it anyway. And then I saw the warmth and reactions from the good people. I'm like, wow, people actually appreciate me being open. And then second time, the third time. So I think by now I'm like 8,000 reps or something. So of course now it's no brainer. I can like tweet anything that comes to my mind as long as it's useful and helpful for others without feeling worried about judgment. But yeah, I think initially I would start with the simplest things. So the easy and actionable step is thinking about, here's what I know about my industry that most people are getting it wrong. And it's not a hook. It's literally what you feel, right? And so try there, start there. Here's what I know, or here's what I wish I knew about my career that nobody told me back when I got started. Like these are just small prompts, but the more you open up and slowly give us a little peek that you would probably share that with a friend over a salad. By the way, the biggest mind frame that I want you to embrace is slowly thinking about less about the audience. Don't think the millions of eyeballs. And it's not like a stage performative thing. I always think of a campfire, that I'm next to a few people at a campfire and they ask me, KP, what do you think about this building public strategy about transparency? Like, I feel a little nervous. What should I do? Then my answer goes, oh, the time I felt nervous, here's what I did. Bam, that's it. Now, if it resonates to 80,000 people or 900,000 or 89, I don't give a shit. And I think you should not give a shit because that's really not in our control. And there are people that lose minds about that. And then that always turns into burnout, right? So if you think of your audience as either a campfire, 4 or 5 people, warm, I always imagine like Murtaza and Ash and a couple other friends sitting around when I'm tweeting something. I never think that there's this huge American Idol like audience judging me, right? Because then I would never be able to tweet.
Following off that question, Sade asked another great question, which is, can you overshare? And if yes, like how
Yes.
do you about that?
Yes, please don't overshare. And the line that I draw with oversharing is, like I said, I use my personal lens. Would I read this? Is this useful? If somebody else shared. So for example, like if Arvid Kaul, one of my close friends, I'm giving shit to him right now, but it's okay because he's fun. But if you share something about like he ate a banana or he watched a plane go by on his ceiling, I don't give a shit about that. It's not useful, not relevant. At that point, it becomes more of a like a personal social media like update, which used to be back in the day. That's how social media was. Remember, hey, I just took a walk, lost 80 calories, like something. I think that's what I used to do for years. And I thought, why am I not growing? It's because I was oversharing instead of thinking of what can I teach or what can I share? What can I help? So really what you want to draw from is the wealth of knowledge you have, the wealth of experience you have. So that's why I think it's more like a campfire vibe where you try to at least have a dose of value, a kernel of value for somebody else. But if it's a bland update about the fact that you just bought the next Gap jacket that looks so great, nobody cares. I think oversharing is that. So make sure that you go too far, but doesn't mean like you're so robotic that you don't share personal life, right? You can still share personal life, but from the lens of joy, from the lens of emotion, like some kind of emotion, not from the lens of a bland update. So that's my answer. I feel like most of us don't go into that corner. What I've learned is most people don't overshare. Most people undershare, and that's the problem. So initially, I used to make one tweet a week and thought I was the hot shit, right? One tweet. No, you got to make. At my peak when I was gaining a lot of followers, I made 20 tweets a day. Actually, I just recently posted a Twitter screenshot from back then to now. I just crossed 37,200 tweets, I think. So if you do the math around how many days I've been active, it roughly boils down to 20 tweets on average, which is crazy, right? But I'm sure many of you haven't seen many of the tweets. It's also, we think that we're annoying a lot of people, but we're really not. So I think we massively have the problem of undersharing rather than oversharing.
Yeah. And I guess the follow-up question too, have you seen people overshare on their business? And if yes, what does that look like?
Oh yeah, on the business side too, I feel like most people should go into the teach slash educate side of it, as opposed to living the lifestyle and sharing the lifestyle. Because I feel like lifestyle gets bored really easily. If I'm like always tweeting about, look at my Audi Q5, look at this black, which is my car, right? Look at my cool, like what's I don't get it. I feel like it's just I don't know. I just feel like it has a limited shelf value of how much you can talk about whatever Lamborghini you buy. So even if from a business point of view, a lot of the times if you share too much about, it seems like bragging or seems like something that you're constantly flexing or something. I think it just people can tell and you lose their engagement. But if you're sharing something of value or something of a lesson, the formula is like either a lesson or insight or a painful truth, right? Like it should be one of these three, and occasionally updates. But what happens is oversharing usually means the first three are missing and it's just updates. If Murtaza just started sharing every Slack thing he writes in, not Slack or a Heartbeat thing, sorry,
No,
on
you're all
Twitter,
good,
now
man.
that's oversharing. But if there is a lesson every once in a while, if there is a insight, earned insight, or if there is a painful truth, now that's interesting.
That's great. And then this question was coming from Giselle. And by the way, y'all, we have time for maybe one more question. So feel free to drop anything else you have in the Zoom chat.